we're going to talk about some capabilities in PowerShell called aliasing. Aliasing is taking the most common is you could alias or shortcut the name of a PowerShell script. Say you don't want to write out the full commandlet name, you can write as an alias. Other things you'll see in PowerShell is bash commands work in Windows, Windows commands work in bash, and all these different things. What's really happening is most of those commands have been aliased. So when you type in, and we'll walk you through that, but aliases are a powerful way to save what you're writing and do what you do, shorten things up. But let me please give this warning: when you're going to share aliases with others, be very careful that you don't write too many aliases in your PowerShell. Aliases are really the most useful for when you're writing short scripts for yourself. But as soon as you start sharing with others, especially if you create your own custom alias, you're going to send that to someone else, and they're not going to have that alias, so their code's not going to work. And so just be very careful and aware that aliases make your code a little more difficult to read sometimes, especially if you use aliases that are not on other people's systems. So for aliases, the very simple principle is we just need to, in order to use an alias, we just use the word Get-Alias. And so let's go try that. If I run Get-Alias, I'll get back all the different aliases that are set up on my system. And you'll see, like I talked about, we have different commands. Copy, which is actually an alias for copy item. CLS, which is actually the shortcut for clear host. We have, you'll see people type dir, and that's get child item. And so anyway, you could MD, make directory. People will have written some of these aliases, and for Windows, and they'll use other command languages. The concept is it just shortens up so that you don't have to write the entire commandlet. You can use the shortcut. Most common ones you'll see out on the internet is question mark and percentage sign. People fill the forums with question marks and percent signs because they mean something, and it shortens up their code. I will say it is one of the reasons I think PowerShell is not as quickly adopted as possible is when you go and read these help forums, you see all these weird characters like, what does that mean? That's not written in a language I understand. And so again, that goes back to my be conscientious that if you're sharing scripts with others, try to just write them out. Don't use aliases, but there's a time and a place for it. Another thing you can do with the get alias, if you're reading a website and someone's got a bunch of aliases out there, you know what they mean. Say you see the word history out there. That's not a commandlet. What does that do? You can type get alias, and it will actually tell you, oh, the history command is the get history, and then you can go do a get help on get history and find out how it works, etc. The other thing you want to be able to do, and it's a powerful thing, is if there are commands you use frequently in your terminal, bash, like ipconfig, ifconfig because I'm on Linux, that gives me my interfaces. I can actually alias these commands, and that is done through the new-alias command. So if I go new-alias, and I'm going to go ifconn, I didn't really save myself a whole lot of writing here, but I just want to make sure, just giving the point here, and I'm going to write ifconfig. Now let's clear the screen, and if I write ifconn, now I can actually, in PowerShell, reference different bash commands. I can create my own set of bash commands that are shortcutted and things like that. If it already exists, so let's say I'm going to change ifconn to pwd. I don't know why I would have done that, but set-alias ifconn, and that means I already know ifconn exists. I want to change what it is. I'm going to change it to pwd. Now if I write ifconn, it tells me my path. The reason you want to be careful of doing that is if I go new alias and I write ifconn, and I'm going to make it ls. New alias is not allowed because it already exists. So new alias is when the alias doesn't exist. If the alias already exists and you want to change it, you use set alias. And then, so the last little thing we're going to do is talk about how to carry your aliases to other systems. Just a word of warning, I'll put it up on this page. These aliases are not permanent. As soon as you close down your terminal, if you create your own aliases, they will disappear. They need to be put inside your profile for them to become permanent. So just be aware of that. They're only available for the session of your PowerShell. A little way around that, or say you want to move your aliases to another machine, you can use the export alias or the import, and then the corresponding import alias. So for example, if I hit export alias, and now I'm going to write a path to home, we'll write it right here, and I'm going to call it my alias. If I look, I now have a file called my alias, and I can import that very file, my alias. Now, one of the things you'll want to do is you're going to want to type force. And the reason you want to type force is it's going to export it every alias. All those aliases that I showed earlier, they got exported. The import alias is going to bring those in again. It's going to say, hey, they already exist. And you're going to be told every time, do you want to overwrite? Do you want to overwrite? So my recommendation is just tack this force onto the end of it, and away you go. Let's do this Get-Alias again. We should see the myconf, ipconf on here. And you'll notice there it is, ipcon, and I should have it. That's one. Here's my ifcon that I wrote that's using get location, which the reason it's saying get location is because I used ls. ls aliases to get location. I hope this is helpful. I hope you see that you can see how this can be used in PowerShell. It's a quick way of taking things that you write over and over again and simplifying them, shortening them up, and simplifying your scripts. I hope this helps you in your journey to understand PowerShell in your work and home environment. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it.